guys, this is Klazart, and I've got the very drunk Rise and the very sober Cholera alongside me for this triple commentary of CJ Entus versus Samson Khan Game 2. If you haven't seen Game 1 right now, not only is it incredibly enjoyable to watch, it is hilarious. It is hilarious, especially because you will get to see Rise physically cry. And that's perfect. It's like a dream. It's like a dream come true. But anyway, so this is game 2, and this is going to be between Iris, the Berserker, and a guy who I've actually not even seen playing before, called Juni, representing Samson Khan, who is a Zerg player. But I'm always up for Zerg players, so I hope he'll put up a good show. Iris, though, when he gets on top, when he gets in form, he is scary. He is scary to watch. And I remember one of the most epic games that I've ever seen was Iris in an epic 5-match battle royale against Savior, and that was some sweet StarCraft. So I'm hoping for a good game of StarCraft. Iris is still pretty solid, though he doesn't seem to possess that edge that he had a couple of seasons back.
Juni, on the other hand, really is another one of Samson Khan's Zergs that aren't that great. Samson Khan has one good Zerg who's actually going to be playing in set 3. That is great. Actually, that was a really long pun, I just realized. He's one of the Zergs that isn't that great, because the only good Zerg they have is Great, by Great, who's very good at ZVZ. But in any case, Juni actually has a pretty poor record, like about 1-5 or 1-6 right now. I'm not sure if it includes this game or not, but we're gonna have to see how he does against Terran. 1-6 against Terran is what the database says right now. They're gonna be playing on Heartbreak Ridge, which is, I'd say, a pretty good Terran map. It is a new map once again for the Pro League this season, and there's 2 spawn points, and in the middle there are a lot of ridges up and down. There's also a lot of great places that drop tanks, namely behind the natural expansion of each base, and also behind the main base there's high ground where tanks could do a lot of damage to a Protoss or a Zerg base. And it's also hard to pick up a third in this map. There's really no easy third base. All this is going to, I think, favor the Terran player Iris here.
Yeah, I agree, and this map is definitely going to be an interesting map for sure, because if you just look at the map itself for a few minutes there, you can see that it's ugly. I think you said this before, Collar. It's a 2-player map, and it definitely is just ugly.
It is ugly.
I mean, it doesn't look as symmetrical as it should, and at the same time, it looks heavily, like you were saying before, it looks heavily Terran favored, and I don't know if that's really going to play out in the statistics or not, but certainly, in my opinion, it's going to become a Terran favored map. And of course, I mean, they have one fancy little expansion in the middle with a couple of assimilators, or I'm sorry, not assimilators. I play Protoss, by the way. A couple of refineries, so you know, it looks like a pretty mineral-rich and gas-rich area. Geysers, that's what I was thinking. Amazing when people point that stuff out. But really, at the same time, this map, I'll be honest, it reminds me slightly of Katrina when it comes to its expansions anyway. And that's because there's not much room to build, and at the same time, it's very difficult to really... It's probably a bigger map than it actually... appears to be for players the first time, and I think that it's going to be very difficult for people to take those expansions outside their first 2, because really you got to go pretty far if you're going to really secure any other expansion, unless it's a hidden expansion. So it could be very difficult for these players to actually manage to steal. Now at the same time, that choke at the main base, you know, that's going to play into, again, I think the Terran's favor. He's going to be able to build up the if he goes to Medic Marine Force anyway, he's going to be able to build up those forces and block it like as if it was a ramp, and it's going to be very difficult for the Zerg to try to break. So right now it seems that Iris right off the bat is going to have some sort of map advantage, but again, we're going to have to wait and see exactly how these map statistics play out in terms of you know, TVZ in particular, I think, for us to feel how this game is going to work later on. But I mean, other than that, I mean, Juni, he's new, but he's not a bad player by any means. I've watched a couple of games of his, and he's played fairly solid StarCraft. But again, Klazart said it best before. Iris, when he's on top, he really is one of the best Terran players out there. And he could be, you know, he's called the Berserker for a reason. He can be an aggressive player, and if he decides to play at his top level, it's going to be very tough for Juni to beat.
Yeah, I find this very interesting that Juni sent out a drone pretty early on to scout and try and get that scouting information, and that Iris actually managed to block him and keep that drone out, and that drone did do its best to harass, but that drone's been out, and for whatever reason, Juni was really determined to try and get that drone through. He wasn't able to, and therefore wasn't able to get the scouting information on Iris, unfortunately for him. Actually, it looks like that drone was actually just north of his base, so it's like Iris has set up an advanced blockade north of Juni's base. Is it or not? Okay, no, it's not. Sorry, I just got confused looking at the menu for a second. I'm like half asleep or something. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. Anyway, yeah, I think the fact that Juni is 1-6 versus Terran, even if he wins this matchup, I don't really think it's going to say a lot for the balance or lack thereof of this map. And as far as the ugliness of the map is concerned, well, I'm married now, and Iris is sending an SCV in to try and get a scout off, but that's going to wandering SCV between the natural and the main of Juni's, but looks like he's putting a sunken down, so that SCV is probably going to get taken out soon. Lair going up for Juni, so it looks like he is playing a 2-hatchery build for the moment. He's now sending another drone out. It'll be interesting to see whether he puts a 3rd hatchery down or not, whether he decides to play a 2-hatch economy build, in which case it essentially takes that drone out because he doesn't want his opponent to know that he's relying primarily on a 2-hatchery build, which Iris does know, and Iris is putting out the starport.
Alright, Iris has gone for the tech build here. He is going to be going starport. Definitely a deviation here. It's going to be a 1-base build for now for Iris, of course. Once you go starport, it's probably going to be... I'm going to guess he's going to start off with a couple of raids. Although, no, actually, it is going to be a command center. Wow, that is interesting. Starport into command center is pretty rare, so he's actually going to be skimping on units in general. So basically, he's going to do a good amount of damage here with his Wraith when it comes out. Or perhaps he's going to get some Valkyries. Either way, he's going to need something to counter a lot of Mutalisks pretty soon. Although there could be some Hydras with it also. Looks like we are going to see a control tower. So there's a lot of possibilities with this. It could be Valks. It could be a Vulture drop, in fact. Not sure how good a Vulture drop would be, though, given the fact that right now the Zerg player has a Sunken as natural. He's also got a Den going down, so that means he's going to have some Hydras out. So we're going to have to see exactly what it is. It could be Cloak Rates, of course, is actually the most likely possibility, I guess. Although really, you know, Iris has all the options open, and unfortunately for Juni, he doesn't have a scout in, like you were saying, Klazar. Juni has a very good front base wall there, though, with his units. Definitely it's going to make it hard for these Vultures to do that much. Vultures have mines, actually, so it might be for a Vulture drop. This is some kind of bizarre version of the Fantasy build, in fact. And we're going to see if it works out better for him than it did for Fantasy in the finals a few days ago.
And you're definitely right, man. He's not making any cloak raids because we don't see cloak actually upgrading. There's a dropship right there. I was gonna say that it's got to be a dropship building if he's not upgrading anything over there. And so we are gonna see this 4 Vulture drop, which definitely is a little bit of a. I won't even see deviation of the Fantasy build quite yet because right now it's appearing to be exactly that, and it's pretty close to that. He's got an expansion going down as well, and there is the dropship picking up the other 3 Vultures. En route to the base, and the question is, will he go behind it or will he just drop right in the middle? No, he's going to drop right in the middle of the base, actually, right in the middle of the main, and he's going to be able to take a whole bunch of drones out. He goes right for a couple. He's got 3, 4, 5 drones. Mutas popping out just in time to try to deal with this, but really a lot of damage has already been done. He's going to take out those Vultures, but I think that Iris is actually going to be pretty well prepared to deal with this by the time the Mutas can get anywhere near his base, and he's continuing to harass, and getting on the ramp, actually going to get another drone or 2, and another drop lining up over here. So while he gets his turrets up, it looks like he's going to try to keep Juni off balance by continuing to drop. He's got a Valkyrie out as well, so this really is the Fantasy build here.
Fantasy build.
Be completely prepared for these Mutas, and maybe this is just a great map for the Fantasy build. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure, but right now it looks like it's working pretty well. A Goliath out as well, and it looks like they're trying to do some damage against that Valkyrie, but they're going to get a lot of damage taken at the same time. Mines going down around the base.
Oh, man.
That's going to slow some defense down quite a bit, and really, Juni is in a lot of trouble to this Fantasy build as being played out by Iris, and I don't know what his answer is going to be to this.
Yeah, Iris is running around with those Vultures. He's kept those 2 Vultures alive for a crazy amount of time, and he's continuing to pick drones off. It looks like he's going to get another drone kill, and the Vulture still isn't dead. And I have to say, Iris planned that perfectly. And Juni, he had to know that he was... I guess Juni felt he had to retaliate straight away with his Mutalisk and inflict some damage upon Iris, and that's why he sent his Mutalisk over to Iris's base, where obviously Iris was by that time having the extra time, ready and waiting and fully prepared for him. And at the same time, that allowed Iris to come in with another drop with another 3 or 4 Vultures. And Juni should have anticipated that, and I think he would have been better off shoring up his defense a little bit first. by the time he finally took the dropship out, he had sustained so much damage that Iris is just miles and miles ahead, and Iris is a dot in the distance to Juni. So Juni. This is gonna be 2-0, I fear, in favor of CJ Entus. And CJ Entus have really been ripping it up recently in the Pro League, and with Xavier coming back into form and with Iris performing the way he is, they look good for potentially another win this season. And it looks like it's just going to be a pretty much last-ditch attack for Juni with the Mutalisks and Scourges, because he's done no damage to Iris' economy thus far, and if he doesn't do some soon, a hopeless situation is going to get even worse.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Juni definitely didn't react properly. I think he could have gone actually right after the Mutas came out, right for the main, actually. If you saw at that time, there was almost no anti-air, but of course he had to kill the Vultures, but still, you wonder, obviously we can't go back and rewind and see what would have happened if he had gone for the main. It would have made for a more interesting game, though, because, like you were saying, this game is pretty much over at this point. It's all over but the crying. Juni's lost at least 10 drones. Looks like he's got fully upgraded Hydras here. He's going to walk out and try to get some kind of attack in, but I think that Iris is going to be fine against this tech switch. Right now, Iris has a lot of Valkyries. Actually, he doesn't even have that much on the ground, so maybe these Hydras are going to be able to do something. Let's not call this game over completely yet. There's the first tank, though, that I just saw for a second. So this tank is going to help greatly. Once he gets siege mode, I don't think these Hydras are going to be able to do much. Oh, man! One mine goes off, kills one Hydra. And I don't know if there's any more mines, but neither does Juni. Juni is going to have to waste precious seconds here to deciding whether to advance or not against possible minefield, even though there are no mines. So right now, it seems that Juni is actually just going to wait for a couple more Hydras, and one is going to get sniped again by a mine. And by the way, I definitely agree. Don't forget, though, about Sky High, CJ Entus' new rising star, Sky High, of course, tearing it up for them in the finals of the Winners League. And going 4-0, but right now we're going to be seeing if Iris can bring CJ up to 2-0 here in this early game in the new Pro League season.
Well, don't forget, man, they also have Effort, which is more likely to be the next player that they put up. And the Valkyries taking a ton of hits at the same time. Scourge is landing. Those Mutas, though, still not taking out all the Valkyries. They will all die. Oh, Juni, you can see the look on his face as they zoom in, with drama attached to that zoom. It was like, ooh, look at Juni's face. And Juni realizes that he's certainly in a lot of trouble. He's taken a lot of losses to Spider Mines around the field. And we've seen, in the past, I don't know, couple of months that we've been commentating anyway, Spider Mines seems to be playing more and more a role in TVZ, especially in mech builds, because especially when we see Hydras going up against them, they just, if there's no Overlords there to really scout them out, Hydras just get destroyed by Spider Mines. One-shot kills, that's all it takes, Spider Mines to splash at the same time will take out 3 or 4 Hydras at one shot, maybe even more, depending on how they're clumped up. And right now, Juni is not prepared to deal with them. He's got, only paltry amount of forces at the same time going around trying to get in there and do some attacks, but really it's just not enough. And it looks like he's trying to send a drone out, trying to get an expansion, but really, at this point in time, the fantasy build has taken effect. He's done exactly what he's meant to do. He's had the Valkyries out. He did the damage with the Vultures that he wanted to do, and now he's gonna just start taking. Iris has had the time to build up his forces, and now Iris is just going to send in those forces now that it's had time to build them up with support of the Valkyries and take everything out. And finally, one Spider Mine landing as he's Juni doing a very good job of trying to snipe them, but just not a good enough job, losing pretty much. Well, no, he only lost one Hydra, so he did a pretty good job actually. But he can't keep that micro up all over the place, throughout the entire game, unless he gets some speed upgraded Overlords, which it doesn't look like he has, and now he's finally getting up that second expansion and as well as a third one, but it's been scouted, and at this point Iris is in a great position. He's gonna, as he continues to put down Spider Mines all over the map, he's gonna just fight his way in and try to take out these drones as he scouted them out. And it looks like there are some Hydras there to defend this, but he may just ignore them. No, it looks like he's gonna focus on the Hydras, and as soon as he finishes killing the Hydras, he's just gonna take out all these drones before that Sunken can go down. And all the drones get massacred, and they all die, and oh man, that creep colony just finally finishing. Lava even being taken out. Oh my god, and at this point, Juni has taken so many heavy losses. Those Vultures, they're still fighting, even though they could run away and just survive another day. Instead, they're fighting, going against these Hydras, and he's going to actually do a pretty good job surviving against these Hydras. And, I mean, really, Iris is firmly in the lead at this point, and Juni is in a lot of trouble.
Oh, that was some sweet vulture play. That was a sweet
Oh,
vulture
wow, it's still
play.
alive.
Oh, okay, it finally
Oh
gets
my
taken down
God.
by the Mutalisk. That was sweet vulture play. I can't believe that was brilliant. And Juni's just being given a master class in vulture, in how to get pwned by vultures essentially. But Juni now with a group of Mutalisks out. I don't know why he hasn't GG'd yet. I guess he's trying to impress the coach. He's just so far behind in this game. It's not even funny. Iris now trying to push through the ramp, and ooh, Spider-Man taking out 3 Idlers as well as a vulture. But the 2 vultures are going to get into Juni's base, and Juni actually,
Oh!
sorry, Iris
Boom!
actually took out, and he picks off another couple of drones, and the vultures almost gets away, but gets picked off finally by Mutalisk. He actually took out a full control group of drones with those vultures that he went in with at that expansion just north, around the 12 o'clock, around the 1 o'clock position. So that, I mean, that really should have sealed the game for Aris. And Juni has just been basically killed throughout this game by vultures. He just doesn't seem to be able to cope. First with the drops and then with the continued harass. Now coming in with a massive air force. This probably will be his last attack. If this fails, this probably will be GG.
Iris making an attempt to expand here. Should be his 3rd base, and Juni right now technically has 5 bases up, but as January knows, being a Zerg player herself, those bases are completely unmanned by drones. There's no mining going on right now. We're gonna see the science vessel go down. At least that's gonna be a glimmer of hope for Juni. But right now, he's losing more drones at every single base. He can't keep up with how widespread this map is, and this is a good map for Terran, I feel, because it's hard to pick up a safe 3rd base for the Zerg player. The upper right represents the safest one, theoretically, that the Zerg has, but as you can see, it's very hard to hold the entrance as far away from the entrance to the natural. Anyway, there's bases at the upper left. I'm not sure if he knows about the base at the upper left. That might be the only one that Iris doesn't know about. Iris is definitely ahead on upgrades also. I don't think Juni has any upgrades for his ground, at least, and wow, losing more and more drones. He's got Burrow, but Iris has scanned. Just ridiculous. Iris is giving a clinic on the Fantasy build, and Fantasy should take notes. I mean, basically Iris is like, hey, Fantasy, you want to win an OSL next time? Go and do what I did with your build.
Yeah, certainly, man. That is basically how it's done. And at this point, Juni is almost getting embarrassed. Actually, no, he's not almost getting embarrassed. As Glazar said, he's kind of just showing off for his coach right now. But it's not like he's actually showing anything off, as he's about to get run over by Iris, who now has a large force of Goliath and tanks, which, guess what, will destroy any control groups of mutas you may have. And I wish I was paying attention, but I'm not that smart. But they must have clicked on the units to show their upgrades at one point. And look at that. They actually managed to take out a science vessel of Iris, but it doesn't matter. It honestly, it has no effect on the outcome of this game right now, as it looks like 7 tanks line up and just start shelling those expansions of Juni. And Juni is going to lose his natural, not just any other expansion. He's going to lose where all his tech is, because if you were paying attention, he built all his tech at his natural expansion way back when to try to hide it from Iris. And guess what? It's not working now. He's going to lose all that tech. And that Hydralisk den is about to go down, followed shortly by that hatchery, which means he'll be down to, 4 bases? And 4 bases that aren't even fully operational, because he's going to lose so many units. And look at that! The mutas come in and they're getting destroyed by the Goliaths. The Goliaths just able to pick off any muta they want as he just A-move in. And you can see no Goliaths are even being taken out at this point. Only Mutalisks are going down to GG. Coming from Juni. Juni GG's. That's right. So it looks like CJ is up 2-0 at this point, with the first win from Savior, the second from Iris. And now finally, let's see who they send over in the 3rd match for a closeout of this this set, if they can do it. And they have the giant thing of cheese doodles. I don't know why at their team base. That's kind of funny. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on this match before we go into the 3rd set?
Yeah,
no,
Mutalisks from
GG.
Juni. Yeah, those Mutalisks from Juni were like the Iraqi Air Force before Desert Storm. They got like 0 kills. They were like the Iraqi Red Guard of Saddam Hussein. I'm just wondering if Juni is like Saddam Hussein's information minister, who kept talking about how they were winning and
Chemical Ali.
winning the war. Yeah,
Whatever
how
happened
they
to
were
him?
winning the war while
died.
while I think I think he died. Yeah. We shouldn't make fun. We shouldn't make fun. Respect the dead. Respect the dead. Right. Respect Juni because he's been pwned. But well tried by Juni. But really, those Mutilates flying into that kill zone with the Goliaths, it was just like he was sending his F-16s into an into a valley littered with anti-aircraft SAM sites. It's GG no re for Juni.
Juni looks like
All right,
a
let's move
Trollden
on.
Zergling.
All right, guys. See you in the
GG.
next match. GG.